Edge of Tomorrow's protagonists live, die, and repeat. But in order to keep the pacing of this cycle of sci-fi action going, some scenes had to be deleted. Edge of Tomorrow sets up Tom Cruise's character, Major William Cage, much like Maverick from Top Gun. He's the ultimate hotshot. But Major Cage is really just a pretty and confident television spokesperson with no combat abilities, and even less understanding of how to operate a mech suit to kill aliens. In the lead-up to his first mission, the other members of the troop he's been forced into offer him no insight into what he's about to experience, resenting his ignorance and presence. When it comes time to suit up in his combat armor for the first time, Cage doesn't even know where the safety for his weapon is located. While this scene ends on the abrupt introduction of Emily Blunt's character, Sergeant Rita Vertasky, in the deleted footage, the scene continues to showcase Cage's ineptitude with the suit. While it's a pretty funny moment overall, all it does is present more evidence to his cluelessness, which is something audiences are already fully aware of. The scene unnecessarily slows down just at the moment when we're itching to go to the battlefield with the aliens for the first time. Cruise conveys the character's panic and unease with combat so effectively that this extended gag becomes redundant. A fine, funny scene on its own, but a judicious cut from the final film. While our first deleted scene appears as if it were fairly close to making it into the final film, since the color grading matches what we see in the rest of the completed movie, this next deleted scene was something that was cut very early in the process. Not only is this scene lacking color grading, but it features unfinished visual effects, visible green screens, and a whole section in the pre-visualization phase using polygonal computer graphics. We see Cage attempting to warn his fellow troops that there's an alien mimic hiding underneath their position on the beachfront battlefield. We aren't given any inclination as to where exactly this scene is taking place in the film's timeline, given that we return to the same battle repeatedly within a looping single-day structure. But it appears to be fairly early on, as Cage's handling of his weaponry is still fairly amateur, and his confidence in knowing what happens during the battle hasn't developed. While this is something we see quite a few times in the film, this scene's main attraction is its animated ending. After Cage is knocked out, he wakes to see the full destruction and takeover of the human forces by the mimics before waking up to Terrence Maynard yelling at him. Because the scene might have been placed fairly early in the story, the filmmakers probably didn't want to play their hand too soon about how sideways the war with the mimics could go. At this point, we're still having fun learning the rules and mechanics to this repeated day, and having something that somber could potentially kill that fun. When Cage is told by Vertasky to find her after he wakes up when he's killed again, she starts training Cage to improve his combat skills. In the final cut of the film, Cage confides in Vertasky that he's not trained for combat, which we immediately see in his first spar against the Army's mechanical training mimics. He doesn't have a single clue to what he is doing. However, in the deleted scene, we see Cruise's character in a more frantic state before we cut to his first training session.
How good are you, would you say?
Good, pretty good. I'm a quick learner.
Even if Cage's lines are purposefully overflowing with false confidence, the whiplash from his panic 20 seconds earlier to this more brash attitude is extreme. When isolated, each scene manages to work on its own, but when they're juxtaposed against one another, they feel disconnected. By cutting these interactions out, the filmmakers streamlined the story while also maintaining a tonal consistency. Again, this is happening in the first 45 minutes of the movie, and our two heroes have only recently come together for the first time. You don't want to let up on the fun quite yet, and keeping that tone consistent is paramount. Every science fiction movie has to find the right balance between its story and its world building. Edge of Tomorrow is as much science fiction as it is a rip-roaring action flick. If it had spent too much time getting bogged down in how its world operates, it would have slacked the movie's pace and overburdened the audience with details that, in the end, aren't all that important. Case in point, all of the soldiers in this futuristic war wear big and clunky mech suits.
With a new jacket technology and limited amount of training, we've been able to create super soldiers.
When Cage shows audiences he doesn't know how to use one, it's funny. But when he finally learns to command it, the action scenes become thrilling. We do not need to know the particulars of how these suits operate in order to understand what's going on, and so a scene that explained how these suits are powered was removed from the final cut. In the scene, Cage and Vertasky make a pit stop to siphon some gas out of an abandoned car. We see Vertasky's reaction to the highway's desolation, something that Cage has clearly become familiar with. But at the end of the scene, both of their suits are running out of battery power, and she suggests bringing more next time. With the entire world at stake, whether or not the suit's power supplies will last until the end of the movie comes across as a trivial complication. The possibility of the character's failure shouldn't rest on a minor tech issue. Leading into the film's climax, Cage and Vertasky need some further assistance in carrying out their final plan, and so they decide to enlist the help of Cage's squad. From their perspective, the team is skeptical about helping Cage as they've only just met, but they're more than willing to fall over Tasky. Out of all the deleted scenes from the film, this next one was most likely the easiest to cut, and the visible green screens in the background certainly point in that direction. The deleted material basically amounts to a brief suiting up montage. While this works in many other action films before a movie's final climactic fight, the suits in Edge of Tomorrow are just the same ones we've seen throughout the film. There's nothing new to learn or experience here, and cutting from Cage's squad members accepting their new mission to them starting that mission is more economical and effective. While every other deleted scene in this video makes for an interesting watch outside of the film, this is the one you can just skip entirely. The final deleted scene from Edge of Tomorrow comes from the film's climactic final battle against the Mimics. Arriving in Paris, the squad's ship is destroyed, and Cage ends up in the water and manages to crawl to dry land. In the final cut of the film, that's all that happens, but the cut footage of the scene manages to give Paris an even eerier feeling than what was already present. Cage takes time to survey the emptiness, and while he does, he sees a horse on the flooded streets. As is the case with so many of these deleted scenes, this moment slows down the film's pacing. With the final showdown with the Mimics being so close, this couldn't be a worse time to decide to slow down and take in the haunting scenery. Like the aforementioned deleted battlefield scene, this one is also filled with unfinished visual effects and is lacking proper color correction. The horse looks to be real, but was shot separately and was composited into the scene. Very rarely are the quality of deleted scenes vastly inferior to the final film. There is nothing particularly wrong with any of these scenes on their own, and they may have worked in other versions of Edge of Tomorrow. However, films constantly evolve, from the first draft of a screenplay to the final sound mix, gradually revealing what kind of movie the filmmakers are actually making. The final version of Edge of Tomorrow didn't need any of these deleted scenes, and was arguably better without them. But on their own, they still offer an interesting glimpse into how the film eventually took shape.